Welcome back to the deep dive. Forget the spreadsheets and the salary cap for a bit, because today we are diving headfirst into, well, the glorious intersection of statistics and sheer swagger.
Yeah, we're trying to decode what fans truly define as cool in the modern NFL.
It's a fascinating premise, isn't it? Because cool is so subjective.
It absolutely is. But we have some data. We've got 42.5 thousand fan votes distilled into a single ranking. The coolest current NFL players, updated just this past August 2025.
So our mission really is to understand the rules of this particular coolness club based on how these fans voted.
Exactly. And that's the essential takeaway right out of the gate, I think. The voting criteria explicitly tell fans to look past simple on-field metrics.
Right. You're supposed to consider style, personality, confidence, and swagger. Big emphasis on off-field image, media presence, and that elusive cultural crossover factor.
Yeah, the source material is very clear about the standard they're aiming for. They even cite historical examples like Cam Newton. I mean, his fashion sense was huge. Odell Beckham Jr.'s, magnetic playmaking.
Gronk's personality.
Right. Rob Gronkowski's infectious fun, and Aaron Rodgers, too. These are players who definitely stepped off the turf and into the wider cultural conversation.
So we've got a mandate for Flash, basically. Who, then, is the undisputed king of NFL swagger, according to these fans right now? We're going to run through the top tier.
And you should stick around, because we found a really striking discrepancy hidden in the raw vote counts.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it suggests something interesting about how fans value the overall ranking versus just raw popularity when it comes to defining cool.
Okay, let's unpack the players who currently set the standard for cool, then. These aren't just the best players. These are the ones who, make you stop scrolling.
Absolutely. So number one, we have Justin Jefferson, the Vikings wide receiver. He's 26.
Okay.
His defined description is explosive athleticism combined with providing endless entertainment. And that word entertainment, that feels key for the cultural crossover criteria.
Yeah, he's putting on a show. It's not just executing a play.
Exactly. Compare that to number two, Saquon Barkley, the Eagles running back, age 28.
Mm-hmm.
He's defined by an otherworldly blend of speed, power, and agility, and is specifically labeled an inspiration for aspiring athletes.
Ah, okay. So that implies maybe a certain gravitas or like role model status layered on top of the athleticism.
I think so. Then moving quickly to number three, we see another wideout, Jamar Chase, 25 years old.
Bengals.
Yep, the dynamic wide receiver, known for changing a game's momentum in the blink of an eye. He's that pure game-breaking talent.
Gotcha.
Then at four, we hit Lamar Jackson, the Ravens quarterback, cited for that dazzling combination of speed and athleticism that has, and this is a quote, revolutionized the quarterback position.
Wow. Revolutionized. That's a massive term. It signals he actually changed the game itself.
It really does. But then the list takes a bit of a sharp turn at number five with Derrick Henry, also with the Ravens now, running back age 31.
Okay, how so?
Well, his cool factor isn't really about agility or entertainment in the same way. It's sheer, almost terrifying brute force. He's a bona fide bulldozer.
Right?
His physicality is intimidating and redefines what it means to be a powerhouse running back.
So that suggests coolness can also just be defined by being the biggest, baddest threat on the field.
Yeah, it creates this fascinating duality, doesn't it? The quick, flashy entertainer versus the dominant physical force. But this dynamic kind of sets the stage for that big data paradox we found.
Right. You mentioned this. This is where the methodology gets really interesting.
Yeah.
Because if you look purely at the raw votes within the top 10, Joe Burrow, the Bengals quarterback, who sits quite a bit lower at number 9.
Yeah, number 9.
He actually has the highest vote count, 1,573 votes.
But Justin Jefferson, our number one guy, he garnered 1,493 votes.
So Burrow is technically more popular by raw volume, but he still ranks 8 spots lower than Jefferson. So the obvious question is why? Why would the ranking platform seem to ignore pure volume popularity when determining the ultimate coolness rank?
Well, it strongly suggests the ranking system isn't just a simple vote tally. It probably applies some kind of weighted average or maybe a filtering mechanic
Okay.
that prioritizes how well a player fits the specific cool criteria over just raw popularity. Look at Burrow's description. It emphasizes poise, confidence, and true leader.
All great QB traits, absolutely essential.
Essential, yes, but they reflect a more traditional kind of excellence, maybe a traditional definition of cool.
Poise is excellent, sure, but it's not necessarily swagger.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Jefferson's description, explosive athleticism and endless entertainment. That just screams cultural crossover.
Yeah.
It fits the brief perfectly.
So the fans voting for Burrow are likely voting for, like, a high-performing, traditionally cool QB.
Yeah, maybe. While the voters propelling Jefferson to number 1 seem to be responding directly to those specific criteria. The off-field image, the unique celebrations, the sheer flash.
Huh. So raw popularity gets you votes, gets you noticed.
But cultural resonance, fitting that specific swagger mold, gets you the number 1 rank on this particular list.
That's a huge distinction. And it kind of proves the ranking is actually succeeding at its specific goal-measuring swagger, not just overall skill or popularity.
I think that's right. It's a nuance in how the platform works.
Okay, so that distinction between traditional cool and, let's call it, cultural swagger seems key to understanding the rest of this list.
Definitely. And when we look at the top 10 overall, the positional bias is, well, pretty overwhelming.
Yeah, what did we see? 5 wide receivers.
Right. 5 WRs, 3 running backs, and 2 quarterbacks. It's all offense.
Specifically skill positions that highlight speed, agility, that sort of thing. They completely dominate the fans' definition of cool here.
Well, it's the nature of the highlight reel, isn't it? Receivers, dynamic backs, they live in space. They generate those immediate viral visual moments.
Yeah, that makes sense. Which is probably why defensive players face what the source called the defender's dilemma.
Exactly. You have to be just absolutely dominant, truly exceptional, to break through that offensive barrier into the cool rankings.
And we don't even see a defensive player until, what, outside the top dozen?
That's right. Patrick Surtain II is at hashtag 13 and Jalen Ramsey at hashtag 18. Both are described specifically as lockdown cornerbacks.
So they have to be defined by total dominance, basically shutting down the other team's cool player just to scrape into the top 20.
Defense is often about denial, prevention. Offense is about creation. And creation sells the swagger a lot more easily.
Okay, let's talk about a player who maybe perfectly embodies the conflict or complexity of this criteria. Travis Kelce.
Ah, yes. Yeah.
He's ranked at number 29, which feels, I don't know, relatively low for his on-field performance and profile. He has 11,144 votes.
Right, but the source specifically labels him the most divisive. That's a loaded term right there.
It is, and what's absolutely fascinating about Kelce, looking at the source, is that his official cool description focuses entirely on his performance. It says he redefined the tight end position and is a matchup nightmare due to speed and agility.
Zero mention of his rather massive off-field fame.
Exactly, and that's where I have to kind of challenge this ranking system, or at least question it. If the rules are about style and off-field image, and Kelce is arguably one of the most famous people on the planet right now, inside or outside of football.
Good point.
How can his ranking be so relatively low that divisive label must be carrying a ton of weight?
It really must be. It suggests his fame is maybe actively subtracting from his cool score for a big chunk of the voting audience, even though his play itself is undeniable.
So it proves that the criteria, while favoring cultural crossover, might have a break point, like when the crossover becomes too mainstream, maybe?
That could be it. Perhaps some fans feel it dilutes the authenticity or the, football-first cool factor. He really is the ultimate litmus test for these ranking rules. Very interesting case.
Now, let's flip to a player whose inclusion seems to prove the rules work exactly as intended, maybe in the other direction. Gardner Minshew.
Ah, Minshew mania, yes. Raiders quarterback, ranked at hashtag 35. He's not exactly a consistent MVP candidate.
No.
But his description is pure swagger gold.
Right. He's the personality player who kind of bypasses elite stats entirely for this list.
Totally. He's defined by his unyielding swagger and gritty style, described as enigmatic and captivating, and set apart by his unapologetic confidence.
His cool factor is his persona. He's basically wearing the criteria on his sleeve, or, maybe it's the mustache.
Yeah, probably the mustache too. It's proof that sometimes that's all you need. Attitude.
It's also kind of notable that one of the players who helped establish this whole modern standard for cool, Odell Beckham Jr.,
OBJ, yeah.
Even at age 32, he's still ranked pretty high at number 34.
And cited for his breathtaking one-handed catches and electrifying playmaking ability. He's definitely one of the foundational figures still benefiting from that original status and highlight reel.
Okay, as we move further down the list, we hit what feels like a crucial test for a current cool ranking. Where do established, truly dominant legends actually fall?
And the answer, well, it shows just how quickly historical dominance can fade when you measure it against this specific metric of current cultural flash.
Look no further than Patrick Mahomes, arguably the greatest talent of his generation.
Easily.
Sitting all the way down at number 23.
23, it feels low.
It does.
Yeah.
And his description sounds perfect for the list. Daring play, limitless arm strength, synonymous with highlight reel plays, all checks the boxes.
Yeah.
Yet he's ranked 19 spots lower than Jefferson and 14 spots below Lamar Jackson. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think Mahomes' dominance is almost expected now. His greatness is normalized, maybe. He's become the standard.
And being the standard in the context of cool rankings might actually be a little boring.
It could be perceived that way, yeah. Players like Jackson, maybe even Burrow, who are either newer to that elite tier or possess a more distinct, visibly dynamic style like Lamar's running, they get the freshness premium.
Okay.
The list seems to reward that dynamism over even established ongoing dominance.
And the fall is even more dramatic for Aaron Rodgers, right? One of the historical figures cited in the intro criteria.
Oh, yeah. He's still ranked, which is something, I guess. At age 41, he's hashtag 57.
But his citation is almost entirely historical.
Completely. It mentions his Super Bowl win and has this footnote that he was the highest paid player in NFL history at one point with that big Packers extension.
So his low rank is pretty much the ultimate evidence that current cool is a really fleeting concept.
Absolutely. If you aren't actively generating buzz and dynamic content right now, your historical bona fides just won't hold up against a younger, flashier skill set on this kind of list.
I do love how the list also makes room for players who aren't necessarily the primary focus of the offense, but they have some truly unique distinction, like specialists and niche talents.
Yeah, this is where we find Harrison Butker, the Chiefs' kicker, sneaking in at number 50.
The kicker at 50.
Right. It takes a specific type of unique talent, or maybe a funny backstory, to make the cool cut as a kicker.
So what's his?
The source highlights that his nickname is Butt Kicker, which is,
Okay.
and also that he is second in NFL history in career field goal percentage at 90.3%. Near perfection helps.
So to be a cool kicker, you need near perfect accuracy and a fourth grade nickname. That's a very, very narrow path.
Seems like it. And we also see the massive cultural capital that comes from being a multi-sport athlete. Kyler Murray, Cardinals QB at hashtag 54, carries that unique distinction of being the only player ever drafted in the first rounds of both the NFL and MLB draft.
That resume alone is instant swagger, right? That's a fact that just elevates his cool factor, regardless of maybe his recent season stats.
Totally. Then you look at tight ends who leverage athleticism from other sports.
Yeah.
Jimmy Graham, now with the Bears at hashtag 80.
Played college basketball.
Yep, 4 years before switching to football. And David Njoku, Browns tight end at hashtag 58, he's there because he won the high jump national championship back in high school.
Wow.
These kinds of inclusions really demonstrate that fan-defined cool isn't strictly limited to football achievements. It's about recognizing just incredible, prodigious athleticism that maybe transcends one single field.
So the ultimate takeaway here feels like football fans, at least the ones voting in this poll, are looking for cultural icons who happen to play football.
Not just great football players. Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. And that's why we see this particular distribution of votes and ranks.
If we look at the whole picture then, fan-defined cool clearly, strongly favors offensive skill positions, especially those wide receivers and dynamic QBs and running backs.
They need to possess that demonstrable swagger, that mainstream cultural appeal. The flash factor, it often overshadows steady historical achievement, as we saw with Mahomes and Rodgers.
It's all about electricity, it's about flash, and it's about being a talking point away from the actual field. It's like an acceleration toward the new and the dynamic.
Which really raises an important final question for you, the listener, to consider as you kind of digest this list.
Okay.
If coolness is now so tightly tied to cultural crossover and that revolutionary style of play, what does the relative ranking of these top quarterbacks, Lamar Jackson way up at hashtag 4, Joe Burrow at hashtag 9, and then Patrick Mahomes down at hashtag 23.
Yeah.
What does that tell you about how quickly the fan perception of cool changes in the NFL?
Yeah.
Prioritizing that new dual threat dynamism and maybe attitude over even the most established ongoing dominance.
A fascinating standard for sure, and clearly one that is constantly being redefined by the players and the fans. That's all the time we have for this deep dive into the shifting definitions of NFL swagger.
Catch you next time.